It's week 6 in the National Football League, and this is Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Hope you're having a great week, everyone. Thank you for spending part of it with us. My name is JB Long, and I've got 3 guests with me today to break down the Carolina Panthers and the Los Angeles Rams coming your way from SoFi Stadium on Sunday. Let's start with staff writer Stu Jackson, live from the team facility. Good morning, Stu.
Morning, JB. I'm excited for another home game, back-to-back home games here with week 6, and looking forward to seeing how the Rams prepare and take on the Panthers this weekend.
What are you drinking over there, Stu? What do you got?
What, because of the optimism or something?
No. I'm just talking about your morning coffee. I heard you made a run.
Oh, I got you. It's just straight black. I don't put anything in it.
All right, let's go over to Erica Tamposi, who I also saw sipping on a little something.
Oh, you know I start my Between the Horns morning episode taping with a cup of coffee, always.
Home brewed, or did you go out and get something?
No, JB, we've talked about this during training camp. We are a Nespresso family, so you got to do it at home. Erica,
I know you and I have talked about this. I just thought we would bring the rest of the Ramley into the conversation.
You're such a professional. Here am I. So for those that don't know, JB Long and I, we've talked a lot over the summer about our Nespresso pod choices, which ones we like, which ones we don't. You like more of the smaller espresso shots one. I get a full cup.
All right. Who's laughing in the background? DeMarco, you haven't even been introduced yet. You can't make noise yet.
This is great. I love it. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, Erica, let's go ahead and document all the other private conversations we've had for the benefit of our audience, shall we? Let's rewind.
You want to? I actually have them written down.
Wow.
Right here. I can pull them out.
Oh, look at her. Keeping notes.
I'm working all morning with DeMarco, so I don't need any caffeine, right, my friend?
No doubt. Let's go, man. Absolutely. Straight up Keurig brand, whatever this is, whatever my wife made, this is it. Going in. Absolutely.
Straight
DeMarco,
up Keurig.
How would you feel if I term this week not a must-win because it's only week 6 and it's only October and you're only a game back of the 49ers, but a cannot lose given the state of the Panthers and the state of the Rams? You good with that?
I think I like that. Aren't they kind of the same, though? Must win and cannot lose? Kind of the same thing, right? Splitting hairs. I like it. But
distinction without a difference.
Yeah, I see where you're going. Look, you're below 500. This doesn't happen often in the Sean McVay era. 2 weeks in a row, Matthew Stafford has been beaten up a little bit. So, yeah, this is one where you've got to show and prove just to get back to 500, number one, and you've got to back some of these teams off you. You really do. Public perception is falling right now. So I'm right there with you. This is a can't lose at home. You need to show your home base what you're all about, and you're ready to defend this championship.
Erica, 3-3 going into the bye would feel a whole lot better than the last couple of weeks have.
Oh, absolutely. This bye is coming at the perfect time, really. At first, I was like, ooh, the Rams get kind of an early bye, which sometimes doesn't end up so favorably for a team. And statistics have showed that the later the bye, the better the team can sort of move into the postseason. But I am very thankful that it is coming right now.
God bless you, Stu. I mean, that mic is so sensitive, it didn't even pick up your sneeze. Or were you dabbing? Were you dabbing on us? You're
like, yes.
Just a small cough. That's all.
Okay. Gotcha. I don't ever want to see Stu dab. Never.
and you never will, believe me.
But Coach Jackson, it's not just that the Rams are 2-3. I think that's hard to stomach, sure, but that's not what I think is bothering us and bothering the fan base right now. It's the underlying metrics, especially on offense, that make you feel the 2-3. Am I wrong?
Yeah, certainly. It's there's been, repeated questions about, what can be done to get Allen Robinson more involved. And in general, like you mentioned, how can this offense get fixed? A lot of talk about problem-solving mode this week. And part of that, too, it turns out involves potentially the left guard and center positions. Obviously, the offensive line has owned their performance, knowing that it needs to be better than it has been the last 2 games. And to that point, Rob Havenstein, team captain, obviously the leader of that room, said they had a closed-door players-only meeting to kind of, air out their, grievances, if you will, and just kind of talk through what's been happening. And so between all of those things, I think it's, needless to say, important for them to, get back on track here in week 6 And along those lines, I actually wanted to ask you, DeMarco, I don't know if you've been a part of any of those types of meetings in your career, but is that when you hear that or see that, what's your reaction and what does that say about the accountability and ownership being taken?
Oh, several. I've been a part of a mutiny once. It was put down fast, but yeah, we tried. They're never a good thing. And, and I've tried to organize a few in my career, and you do it with the best of intentions. But what you wind up doing is alienating your coaching staff, because it's like you're kicking them out of the room. So you think the problem might be them, or at least that's what they think. So it's never a good thing. You never have players-only meetings when things are going well, unless you're planning, parties or whatnot. So I'm glad the offensive line has owned what has happened the last couple of weeks. Well, how can you run from it? It's right there on video. Everybody sees it. The entire NFL-loving world sees it, and your next opponent saw it. So I'm glad Rob Havenstein, as a captain, got his group together, but let's hope that translates into better play up front, better protection for Matthew Stafford, because the big question is, how do you get Allen Robinson involved? Well, number one, keep your quarterback upright. Give him time to throw. Maybe you'll have a chance to extend that playbook. But, yeah, players-only meetings, Stu, to answer your question, never, ever a good thing. So let's hope there's a positive result from it.
DeMarco, on Monday when we spoke with Sean McVay, it felt like some performance-based changes might be coming. He had one bone in particular to pick with the offensive line. Look, they faced some ferocious pass rushes in San Francisco and home against Dallas the last couple of weeks. But the self-inflicted injuries are the ones that he can't tolerate. And it might be time to make a switch at certain positions. Well,
I don't know where you go, though. I mean, some of that stuff was in protection where you slid the wrong way and you gave Dallas a free run right to your quarterback. That's the stuff that would drive him nuts. If you get beat physically, you can handle that. I mean, he gets paid too, the guy on the other side. But when you're just giving Dallas or giving San Francisco or giving the opponent a pathway to the quarterback that just blows up everything, that's the stuff that coaches can't stomach. But I don't know who you bench or who you bring in. I think you have to get better with the guys you have. And look, you're struggling on the offensive line. So it may be on the coaching staff, Sean McVay in particular, to simplify what you're doing. Maybe take away a few check with me's, stay with the play on the line of scrimmage, even if it gets blown up. But the last thing you want is a lot of miscommunication to where your quarterback is, suffering because of that.
To DeMarco's question, Stu, where do they go next? Where do they turn? Well, they're going to have to turn somewhere. They're in line to start their 6th different offensive line combination in as many games this week.
Yeah, with Sean McVay saying that they're still working through what each of those positions will look like on game day, that makes me wonder about the potential use of Matt Skura, a veteran who they signed to the practice squad and later to the active roster, of course, as well as Ode Abushi. Those are two guys that both have a lot of experience, both veteran signings to the practice squad. And so, do you use them? Ode at guard and perhaps Matt at center if you feel like a change is necessary. Obviously that's to be determined, and we'll see what that looks like on Sunday. But that's sort of what's at the top of mind for me as I think about, what potential changes get made and if they're continuing to work through that, what, McVay might do.
Not to jump in, but Skura's got 65 starts, right, in his career at center or along the offensive line. Just throwing it out there. I mean, look, I think last week was an inexperienced center that got taken advantage of. That's fair, right?
Last 2 weeks. So I think if you have a more experienced center that can at least communicate, handle protections, that might be an area where you can make a switch there. But how fast is he up to speed? We don't know. Erica, we need some good news here. Let me interject some. There's only one team ahead of the Rams in the NFC West, and those Niners are going to be here in 2 weeks. The other two teams are also 2-3, and they play head-to-head this week, Seattle and Arizona. And to layer on a little bit, I don't think I'm going out on a limb to say that the Rams are playing potentially the worst team in the league this Sunday. And
knock on wood.
Almost certainly their most beatable opponent on this schedule.
Knock on wood.
Led by an interim head coach and quarterbacked by, I think it's fair to describe Carolina's number 4 option at quarterback coming into this season.
Knock on wood.
Okay. I'll stop there.
Knock on wood.
You just never know. Any given Sunday, I'm just knocking on wood to just make sure we're all covered here.
You're right. After the winless New York Jets came to SoFi a couple years ago and forfeited their right to draft Trevor Lawrence, I will never again in this league take any Sunday for granted. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just saying, in a season in which very few things have broken the Rams' way so far, this one is teed up for them to get right.
Absolutely. I mean, PJ Walker has only had 2 starts. This Panthers team, you know, they have Steve Wilkes as their coach now, who the Rams have some history with when he was the head coach for the Cardinals for a year. Yes, is this coming at the possible best time? It really truly does feel like it. Does it feel like this is the game where the Rams offense can really, really click, where the defense, who hasn't let more than 3 touchdowns in 183 plays happen, so they're playing great? Is this their move to really sort of put a stamp on a game? Absolutely. Do I think that coming out of a strong, hard win this coming Sunday into a bye, because the next game we have the 49ers, then the Bucks, then New Orleans. It's going to be a long stretch. So yes, like you said, this is a must not lose to go into the bye, refresh. Some people will come off from injuries. Like, this is really breaking the right way for the Rams.
DeMarco, watching those Christian McCaffrey highlights, I'm reminded of just how tall a task it can be, even against the Carolina Panthers. He's the East Coast Cooper Kupp to me in terms of his usage rate, his share of the pie offensively for the Panthers.
He's a bad dude. He really is. Watching him run the football traditionally, taking handoffs and diving up the middle. He's so quick at when he diagnoses blocks and makes you pay for overcommitting. And he's dangerous out of the backfield. You know, I was really hoping that it would be Baker Mayfield this week, because he's so erratic, and I think it's fun to watch him get flustered out there. So, you know, when you bring in a guy like PJ Walker who's got nothing to lose, and with a football team that's got nothing to lose, they're going to let it all hang out. They're going to have fun on game day. So I hope the Rams can match their enthusiasm. But Christian McCaffrey is a problem for just about anybody, but specifically for a team that's, I guess, dare I say, struggling to stop the run. Is that fair to say? I mean, I have to, based on what Dallas just did, right? Or no, I should say this. I should say struggling to tackle. How about that?
In a few isolated situations the last couple of weeks, sure. But right now, to me, the defense is the strength of this team, and the run defense is the strength of the Rams defense, if that makes sense. They're a top 5 run defense in terms of efficiency, and they're a top 10 defense overall. I'm not saying don't blame the defense. I'm not saying there aren't things the defense can and will do better. But right now, this is not on them.
No, but I would say, look, the offense kind of hamstrung the defense, and you kept the run game viable for Dallas for 4 quarters. That's where you don't want to be against a team like the Dallas Cowboys, when they can run it 12 times in the 4th quarter. They're just going to wear you out. So, but I think the run defense can be better, and it's going to have to be with a guy like McCaffrey. I think that's the point, because, like you said, this guy can control clock, either between the tackles or outside the tackles or in the passing game. So you're going to have to rally to this guy, and you just can't miss tackles in the open field.
Stu, take this in whatever direction you want, but the defense last week gave up 13 points in my counting. I'm subtracting 9 for the defensive touchdown and the block punt field goal to start. At San Francisco on Monday Night Football, I've got them for 17 points. I'm subtracting the 7 for the defensive touchdown. And at Arizona in week 3, as we know, 12 points, and they did not surrender a touchdown. By the way, all 3 of those games without a takeaway. So those are true defensive stops. They're not capitalizing on offensive miscues per se.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there, JB. I think, and to DeMarco's point too, I think what's really just been affecting them is those unfortunate and untimely explosive plays, like what DeMarco was probably referring to or alluding to, like Tony Pollard's 57-yard touchdown run that he had last Sunday. And so, they're doing everything they can to keep this team in this game. You do need to start seeing more takeaways, I think. But when those come, of course, too, the offense needs to start capitalizing as well. But again, going back to your point, they are doing, even without those takeaways showing up yet, they're still doing what they can to put the offense in a good position and also the team overall in a good position to win these games.
Interesting. DeMarco, the other thing that came up in our conversation with Sean on Monday, speaking of usage rate, is he's kind of between a rock and a hard place, scratching and clawing to keep this team above water and above 500. And I do believe that their best football is ahead of them and that they're going to be in contention into November and December. My concern is the way that Stafford and Higbee and Kupp are peeling themselves up off the turf in the fourth quarter of games recently. They got to be there in the end, right? And if they can't protect themselves right now, it's a tough ask, but the coaching staff needs to find a way to protect them, yeah?
Absolutely. Well, the only one that you have to depend on other people is for Matthew Stafford. I mean, the offensive line, tight ends, running backs, everybody, you're all involved in protection of the quarterback. But, Cooper Kupp, even Sean McVay mentioned, it may be time to spell him sometimes, like even on the sideline, not just hide him within a play and throw it to someone else. You might need to pull him out for a little bit. That means guys like Tutu Atwell have to step in and play big roles. Brandon Powell can't be just the gadget guy. You're going to have to go play some receiver. Even Tyler Higbee, look, I'm glad he's getting some reinforcements. I thought the plan this year was not to play him so much, and here we are, the guy's being an Iron Man again. So at some point, at his age and his usage, that could be dangerous. You missed him in the Super Bowl last year, so I think some of that is going to have to change. Even on the defensive side, I saw Aaron come out a few times. Now, there's a guy, look, that is your pass rush outside of him and Bobby Wagner. So when he comes out, things change a little bit. But the last thing you want is to start losing your stars, the guys that are carrying you because you're using them too much. So it's time for depth guys, time for some of that vaunted coaching we keep talking about to step forward and getting some of these young guys ready to play just to take reps off the stars.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee each averaging more than 60 snaps per game through 5 games this season. And they're not just out there running routes as decoys. I mean, they are being targeted and tackled on so many of those reps. And as we know, Matthew Stafford has been sacked more through 5 games than he has at any other point during his career. So he's been peppered. There is an interesting nugget that ties into Taylor Swift that I saw courtesy of your Twitter feed, Erica, if you care to share that with us.
Oh my God, absolutely. So DeMarco, I know you already know this because you're a huge Swiftie, but I was going through the NFL research packet yesterday, and I saw this stat that kind of stuck out to me. It says Stafford has been sacked 21 times in 2022, the most ever, like you just said, JB, by a starting QB who won a Super Bowl the previous season in their first 5 games. The last time that this happened, or the previous most sacked quarterback, was 19 times by Joe Montana in 1989. That year, the 49ers went on to repeat as Super Bowl champions that season. And I wrote, also, 1989, Taylor Swift's arguably best album. Let's fight it out down in the comments. Let me know. I think 1989 is one of her best albums, so I think it's a sign. And I think that this stat just proved that the Rams are set to repeat.
1989, Joe Montana, 89, Taylor Swift. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But remember that thing about off-camera conversations? You didn't have to tell the world I'm a Swiftie. That was just
my God. It's so I know that's how we connect, but you guys, I'll tell you, pull back the kimono. DeMarco is blasting Taylor Swift
all this tough guy stuff. All this tough guy stuff, you're ruining it.
It's all a facade. It's all a facade.
DeMarco, I think we all expect and hope that the Rams will protect their quarterback better this week. But the other way you can do it, besides the 5 up front, is with game and time and score circumstance, right? Like they need some more favorable situations where they can protect Stafford by handing the football off, even though their running game has not yet gone on track. Wow. Unfortunately, they've spent the better part of their season so far chasing scores.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned handing off. Okay, hand off to who? Which one? Darryl or Cam? That's a great question, right? And Darryl did get a carry. It just got called back. So he did run the football. Yeah.
But they were skewed heavily in Cam Akers' favor. And believe me, we've seen the screen grabs of the lane that he missed and the holes that he's not seen. Why that reaction, DeMarco?
Because it was huge. I mean, it was huge out to your left. I mean, you wonder from a couch quarterback, like how could you miss that? But in the game, it's different. So, but look, you've got to get some production in the running game. And you've got 2 good running backs. So I think it stands as a reason that Darrell Henderson will get some carries versus Carolina. And this is a defense, like you said, that lacks killers up front. I like Brian Burns. He's a guy that can burn you off the edge. No pun intended. But I think this is a defense where you should be able to run effectively and throw off play action and have enough time to throw from a 7-step drop. So maybe all that Allen Robinson stuff maybe running Darrell Henderson. Maybe that stuff comes to fruition this Sunday in SoFi.
All right, let's share the pie here a little bit. Erica, Stu, give you guys a chance for a final thought before we turn our attention to Sunday at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, I want to jump on kind of what we were talking about earlier about how this bye is sort of coming at the perfect time. And when we look at everything that we've circled for this Carolina Panthers team, this is a middle of the pack defense when the Rams have faced the Bills, the Niners, the Cowboys front, like we've talked about. So like I said, and on Ricky's Ram Jam this week, I had Mark Sessler from the Around the NFL podcast on, and we gave predictions for this week, and we looked into the crystal ball, and Mark Sessler looked in and he goes, I think this game is when Stafford throws 4 touchdowns and Allen Robinson will have 2 of them. And This is the game against a middle of the pack defense. Finally, isn't this crazy front? And I'm going to double down, and I think that happens as well.
Shameless self-promotion, and it feels so good.
You got to.
Stu?
I think for me, it's, taking advantage of this to try to get right before the bye week. As Erica said, knock on wood, certainly not looking past the Panthers in any way. And it's a team you do not want to take lightly, especially playing under a new head coach. But you need some momentum going into the bye week, which, again, is earlier than we're used to. Normally it's, roughly the midway point, or at least it feels like it has been in the McVay era. So a win would go a long way for not only some positive momentum into the bye week, but I think would also be helpful coming out of it too and for the rest of the season.
DeMarco, I think there's a chance that the 3 teams that have beaten the Rams are all not only playoff teams, but 3 of the best in the National Football League, which is not to excuse the losses. For the most part, they have not been that competitive. But I think for the Rams to get back into the ring where they're capable of beating the Bills, the 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, they need reinforcements, and they're on the way. But can you hang in long enough to get back to that opportunity?
I think so. Yeah, I thought San Francisco was competitive. They were there until the pick 6, right? I thought Dallas, they were hanging in there. There was an opportunity there. Just Dallas closed the door on you and then closed you out. I thought Buffalo was the only one where they kind of ran you off the field. But there's a lot of positives. And like Stu said, like we've all been saying, get back in the positive, get some positive momentum by beating Carolina, heading into the bye, and then let's see what happens versus San Francisco. Not going to be easy, but that is a team you beat for the biggest game of the year, right? To go to the Super Bowl, to win that one. So everything is possible for the Rams, but you've just got to figure out how to protect your quarterback first and foremost. Without that, look, we're just whistling Dixie.
And your punter.
And your punter. Oh, my God. And your punter. Come on, man. Really? Well, you knew Bones had something. You knew Bones. It was either going to be a fake or he's going to show you where you're weak. And I think he absolutely exploited that.
Joe DiCamillo's had something for him, too. His name's Jake Gervais.
How about that? Yes, sir. I know. And guess who we're facing this week?
Johnny Hecker.
Johnny Hecker. Oh, so get ready for something sneaky again.
Johnny Hecker, Corey Littleton, Austin Corbett, some former Rams back in the Rams house this week. Hope you will be, too. Looking forward to seeing you at SoFi Stadium. Week 6, the Carolina Panthers and your Los Angeles Rams. For Erica, Stu, and DeMarco, I'm JB Long. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. This has been Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers.